All right, you guys, we are back. We have a special guest with us today. We have Miss Nicole Kay. Thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. She is a fitness influencer, fitness trainer. And how long have you been doing training for?
I officially have been doing one-on-one training for the last year.
For the last year. And how has it been?
It's been great. I didn't realize how much I would love it until I went all in. So
how long have you been in the fitness industry?
So, I feel like I've been in fitness my whole life, just doing sports. But I did bodybuilding in 2014, and that's really where my journey began.
Oh, and what inspired you to start doing bodybuilding?
Ooh, there's a lot of reasons. I think after I did collegiate gymnastics.
Gymnastics,
yeah.
So you had a good base then. You had a good base of muscle.
You already had that athletic,
I loved it. I've been upside down on my hands since I was 5, and
She's been upside down on her hands since you were 5.
Yeah, I still do it. And then after gymnastics, I was like, okay, now what? And then I got into bodybuilding. It was like a really big sport back then. Social media was kind of just starting, and I started social media at the same time. So it all kind of came together at the same time.
Nice. What college did you go to?
I am from Minnesota, so I went to a private school in Minnesota in St. Paul.
Yeah, gymnastics is no joke, though.
No joke. So wait, what did you go to school for originally? Because I feel like so many people go to college, go to school, they study something completely different and then end up doing something like being an influencer, fitness.
Yeah. I went to school and double majored in psychology and business. Oh. So I really liked that. And I was actually in sales ever since college. I actually just quit my corporate job in November. So
congratulations to that.
What were you selling?
I was selling actually research, which made it hard, right? Because it's not like a tangible.
Research.
It's not a tangible product that you need. It's more of like a want.
Right.
But I learned a lot of valuable skills because I had to sell on the value proposition, which has been really helpful in terms of impacting lives in fitness because I'm figuring out their why and their pain.
Yeah.
And then really understanding that so that I can help them.
Well, you're speaking my love language right now. That's what we do with trainers.
So basically you're solving the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And once
the number one thing.
Yeah, once you can identify the problem within yourself, you can really approach it.
And honestly, that's what separates a fitness professional from a personal trainer. And I tell people all the time, you can go to anybody in the park and they'll $10 and they'll run you around. Right. But when you find a fitness professional, they find what motivates you, what you need, what you're missing, and they plug that in. Kind of like what you're doing. Selling research. That's interesting.
It was not easy.
It does not sound easy.
I learned a lot of valuable skills.
Yeah.
And so how many years did you do that for?
Not to age myself, but ever.
You're so young.
Whenever I graduated college, I don't know, how old are you? 21, 22? And then to 29, so.
And so you went to school for psychology, but then how did you get into doing sales for?
So I was going to school for psychology. I really liked it. And then I got to my junior year and I had my degree already. And I'm like, okay, I have a year left. I don't know if I really want to go get my master's in psych. So that's when I picked up business. My mom's in sales. She's in real estate. So I just was like, I want to make money. So let me get my business degree. But then they both were beneficial.
I feel like those go hand in hand. Psychology is sales is to me.
You have to
really dig deep into someone's life in order to, like you said, to get the why and stuff like that. So we're going to touch on all that, but I guess what you're best known for is being on reality TV.
Yeah.
Right. It's not what you're known for. That's not your identity. We're going to get into deep in there.
It's how people discovered you.
But if someone was to Google your name, the first thing that's going to pop up is going to be that you were on reality TV. What show were you on?
Yeah, I was on Temptation Island.
And
I was on the first season. So it was different than if you go on the second season, the third season, you know what you're in for.
Right.
Going on the first season of a reality show, you have
no idea.
Right. And when we kind of talked a little bit about that off air. It's like when The Bachelor first came out and they were doing casting for it, right? People were probably like, oh, this sounds fun. And then you get on there and you're like,
what?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So same thing with you with Temptation Island. You were like one of the pioneers of it. So when you got on, you're like, oh, I'm going to be on vacation with a bunch of good looking people. This sounds fun. And then you got on and you were like, holy cow, this is more than I expected.
Yeah, the pitch is way different than the experience.
Well, explain. So for those of us who don't know, explain to us what Temptation Island is. What did the whole series encounter? What did you encounter being on the show?
Yeah, the premise of the show is 4 couples will go to an island and they'll pretty much separate the couples. So most of the couples lived with their partner beforehand. The boyfriend is in one villa, the girlfriend's in the other villa.
Oh, so you're going on there with your boyfriend, who
you're on there
dating out like in real life.
Yep, you're on there with your partner, but you're separated the whole time, and your boyfriend is dating single women, and the girlfriend is dating single men.
We're already not on the show. We're going home.
I'm like, how do they pitch that to you? That sounded
that sound great.
Yeah.
Like, you mean my boyfriend's gonna live in the house with another
a bunch of beautiful women?
Absolutely not.
The contract says social experiment,
right,
so it's like you're signing up for it. Right. But I think a lot of people
you're brave.
They're strong enough to handle it, but at the same time, like I said, we didn't know the dynamic. I didn't know I was going to be separated from my boyfriend. I didn't know we were going to be separated in different houses. I didn't know we couldn't talk. The filming was for a month. So naturally, as if any couple would, you would get disconnected from your partner
for a month
if you weren't having any communication with them for a month.
Absolutely.
And there was all this other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Hearts beating.
So going into the show, how long were you with your boyfriend for before?
2.5 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a good amount of time to build good chemistry and then go on the show. Okay.
So what happened while you guys were on? Did you guys last?
No, we
I
didn't.
feel like you didn't.
So the thing is, they'll cast couples that have issues already, right? They're not going to cast a perfect couple.
Right.
They're going to do the interviews and try to figure out who they can hone in on. But yeah, I guess like I kind of made an emotional connection. My boyfriend at the time made like more of a physical connection. You come together at the end and you say if you want to leave together as a couple, by yourself, or with somebody else.
Holy cow.
And I said I wanted to go home alone, even though.
You went home alone?
You went home alone?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, because like in reality, we all lived with each other. So you go home and you have to figure out your situation too.
Right.
But then the whole, like when it actually comes out on TV, that's a whole nother experience.
Yeah, because they edit it the way they want to edit it.
And you get to see the stuff that you didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what's going on.
Listen.
And also, yeah, it's just, it was a lot when people ask me how it is, or how it was, I say traumatizing.
Okay.
This is the number one word that just comes out of my mouth.
Go ahead.
Oh, do you feel like that literally caused some type of mental issues?
Yeah, 100%. I had never
with
experienced
relationships,
anxiety before that show. I didn't even know what a panic attack was. Like I had friends that went through that and I just couldn't relate. But I had my first and only panic attack on the show, and I developed a lot of anxiety after the show. So a lot of mental health things went on. I was also 25, so I think that show caught me at a point in time where I was still discovering a lot about myself. And now being 30, it's like, wow, there's been so much growth in the last 5 years.
Right. I mean, even though it did have its challenges, I feel like you learned a lot from it.
Yeah, it was like the most pivotal point, I would say. It was the hardest thing I ever went through, and the most pivotal point in my 20s, I would say.
Jesus.
What do you feel like you learned from being on the show? About yourself or about just other people in general?
Oh my God, so much. I think the most important thing is when you're in a relationship, never lose yourself, because it's so easy to do. I mean, my relationship I was in was pretty toxic, but at the same time, once I got out of it, I started going to therapy, and I started to realize like how much of myself I actually lost and how codependent I really was.
Yeah.
So we actually get a lot of guests that do go to therapy, and we're big advocates for that, especially when it comes into mental health and stuff like that. How long were you in therapy for? Or did you still go to therapists?
I wanted to go right after the show, but I don't think I was mentally ready. There was something, like I ended up getting back into my relationship after the show just because I didn't know if we broke up because of reality TV, the social experiment, or if it was because we actually wanted to. So there was like a couple years, like a year or two where we tried again. After that, when we broke up the second time when I was 28, I went straight into therapy like the next week.
Wow.
Like the next Monday, I was in therapy every single week for a year.
What do you think was the most what do you think was the most traumatizing thing that happened on the show to cause you to like need to go to therapy, or to cause so much anxiety and to cause so many mental issues?
I don't think it was necessarily just the show. I think the show brought it all to light. I think this relationship was 5 years, over the course of 5 years. So I think it was a lot that built up, and then I was able to identify a lot of it when I was filming the show.
Got it.
There was like a lot of mental health things that I think just built up over time. Like losing yourself doesn't happen overnight, right? Being in a toxic relationship doesn't happen overnight. So it took years for that to develop, and then it took about a year to kind of undo that.
peeling the layers of the onion.
Yep.
So kind of going through therapy, and just for people that are listening, like what are some red flags that you should look within yourself that you kind of like recognize that, hey, I'm losing myself, or maybe, hey, I should seek therapy? Like, what are some things that you've noticed about yourself when you got into it that you're like, man, I wish I would have recognized this sooner?
Yeah, I think one thing with dating, I've realized, like, whenever there's a moment you feel like you can't be yourself or you can't speak your mind, like, that's a red flag on your own self. Because it's like, who are you trying to impress? You should be your authentic self, because then you're going to attract the people that you want in your life.
Right.
I would say that's like a big piece to the puzzle.
And you went into this at 25. You were with him for
5-ish years, yeah.
So you guys met like in your 20s.
Yeah, and so we were dating since I was like 22 or 23.
Yeah, so that's
until 28.
Yeah.
So
and both of you guys are probably have you spoken with your I guess ex-boyfriend now?
No. Yeah, I wish him the best, but I think there was just like a lot of damage and toxicity. Maybe one day. But yeah, no.
Yeah, but nothing where you guys are like, man, what were we thinking?
Yeah,
where you guys can kind of like, because I feel like as you get older, you start to reflect and you're like, you know what, we just weren't right for each other.
Right.
But obviously 5 years of memories in your early 20s, that's still something. So I don't know if like maybe at one point you guys can come through and be like, man, what were we thinking first of all? And then kind of learn from that. Uh-huh.
No, absolutely. I think with age and maturity, like it's easy to come together and reflect on those things. We haven't done it yet. I think it's just been wishing each other well from afar. But I envision we probably both are like, why the hell did we go through that? But also, like, it did benefit us in a lot of ways. I learned a lot about myself, like, not to beat around the bush, but it helped like with business and it helped with our social media. And it was able to like put us on a platform where we were able to do, you know, what we enjoyed or what we were passionate about.
And sometimes it does take those like super low points to get you to your highest self too.
Yeah,
so you guys,
I'm really grateful for it.
So what would you say is one of the number one things so far that you've gained or learned from being in therapy?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. I would say boundaries, and like realizing that you can have boundaries. It's hardest to have it with like the opposite sex of who you're trying to date. I think that's what my therapist and I would always talk about. But you can also have boundaries like within your friends. You can practice with your friends having boundaries. You can have boundaries within your family. And I think a lot of people, it's hard because they're so close to them.
Yeah.
But I think that's a big one, and I'm always continuing, like always working on that one.
Boundaries. That's good.
Like what are some boundaries in a relationship though? I'm married, so I've been married for God, for almost 10 years. I want to say nine, 8 years. Yeah,
that's for being so young. You guys have been married for so long.
Well, we've known each other when we were young. We grew together. So like when you were saying boundaries in a relationship, like give me an example of that. Like what would be a boundary in a relationship?
Well, here's the thing, you guys. I haven't been in a relationship since my last relationship, which
it was just
toxic.
2 years ago, right?
2 years ago, yeah.
Okay.
But like I've learned a lot of these lessons after the relationship. So I'm like, okay, I would do a relationship completely different now. And I think like to my point, having boundaries of like, you know, being able to have your own separate careers. Like I feel like with my last relationship, we were very involved with one another. We still had our separate friends, but it's like you never want to lose sight of yourself and your goals and the things that make you happy. So how can you set those boundaries with your partner, even if you want to do everything together? Maybe it's like, okay, honey, like I think you should go do this on your own and you should enjoy yourself. Otherwise, you're going to get burned out and the relationship won't be sustainable.
Yeah.
That's your own point. That's 100%. Yeah.
I haven't done it, but again, that's how I'm going to do it.
But you've learned that that's how it needs to be.
Yeah.
That's something that you've learned from your past relationship.
Yeah,
have you dated since?
I have dated. I think it's hard after you get out of a toxic relationship because you're just a lot more on guard.
Yeah.
You see everything as a flag.
You're like, red flag.
Yeah, so
pattern, PTSD.
I'm just being very, I guess, cautious and selective because I'm also trying to build my business right now.
Build your empire.
No distractions.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, if somebody comes into my life and I feel like they really respect me and we're on the same page and we can connect on a lot of those levels, like, cool, I'll get to know them. But if there's not that, then I just find that it's not adding a lot of value to my life right now.
I love that. And we do talk a lot about relationships, and we always use Amorous as our example because she's a non-married one. So like now that you've grown completely different from like when you did reality TV show, what do you feel like are like 5, and all the guys are probably notepad and paper. What are like 5 things that you look for in a guy that you feel like would be good relationship material?
Yeah.
You could say money too.
What?
You can say money if you want. We have this discussion all the time.
He loves it. Money. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I'm so involved into fitness. So it's like, if my partner isn't into fitness, nutrition, they don't take care of their health, like, I don't think that's something we could really align on. Right. It's really important to me.
Yeah.
Not only just for the aesthetic, but like, how are you going to live your life long term? Yeah, the lifestyle. So that's huge. I think just being like respectful, and that's huge too, because it's like, I want him to be respecting me, but I also want him to be respecting the people around me, respecting my time, respecting everyone else's time, respecting himself, having boundaries within himself. I just think mental health is so important, and if I can't see that he's worked on himself, then I don't think we're in alignment.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, there's so much. Yeah, he needs to be like financially stable, because I'm financially stable. I want to like build together. There's been situations in the past where I've been in, and I'm just like, no, never again. Like, I want somebody on my level. I want somebody who is really inspiring me to do better all the time. Like, that was the first thing when I came out of a relationship, is like, I want to gravitate towards somebody who's making me better. Just like the people in your life, your friends. Yeah. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to be 100%. Learning from people all the time.
Absolutely.
So I think, for me, I want to make sure like he's really happy, confident, secure within himself, because it's just going to bring so much more to the relationship.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you write it down. Shoot your shot in the DMs.
I mean, it's like, at the bottom line, have you worked on yourself? Like, that's
you just want somebody who's mentally stable at the end of the day too, and who's ready, who just wants to keep. Yeah.
Is that too much to ask, right?
Jason,
just to get someone that's mentally stable.
And also, like, you're trying to be the best version of yourself, because I know that, especially in today's day and age, like, a lot of women, I want the man who's making so much money. Is he happy though?
Right. We have this conversation all the time about people. You can have all the money in the world, but doesn't mean that this person is happy or just internally doing well.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I asked this man before, like, what makes you happy? And I feel like he couldn't really answer. I was like, that's a
red flag.
Red flag. I'm like, look, you are successful, but I can't connect with somebody that isn't in tune with their own mental health.
Yeah. And I feel like that's another thing that we've seen.
Deeply rooted.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I always, and I don't do it in a malice way and be like, well, how much money do you make? Because we even talked about like, do you ever ask your significant other what their credit score is? Because that does impact you in the long run. But I like what you said, because sometimes, like, as a trainer, I would train people that make millions of dollars, but the deeper you get, they're just not happy.
Yeah.
Not even just the aesthetics of their body, just like they worked a lot, they're stressed, they did this. So I think that's a good one, to have the balance of what do you consider financially stable, and then like, are you happy, and what could we do together, to build that. So that was a good one. I like that.
It's funny. Actually, my therapist told me the 2 questions you should ask on your first date: what's your credit score, and like, bring me your STD test. Like,
hey, look, I had a
what are you bringing to the table?
I had a therapist. Shout out to your therapist. Shout out to your therapist.
And credit score.
But honestly,
if your credit score does, it just shows how responsible you are, really. And
a lot of traits.
I like how you change your tune.
No,
before, what did she give me a hard time about that?
You wanted a number of money. When I was like, that doesn't mean anything, because the money isn't everything.
That's
like
true.
She just said, he was like, no, how much money does he need to make? And I'm like, that doesn't matter, because again, it doesn't matter how much money they make, but it's like, there's more to a person than that.
There is.
Right, like what are your investments? How are you spending? Those are important things too.
Yeah.
But credit score
Do you feel
key.
like, but credit score it just shows that
you're gonna get guys sending you snapshots of the credit score in your DMs.
Right. Now let's validate this.
Is it real?
Do you feel like, because I know you are a new resident to LA.
Yep.
Do you feel like dating in LA is harder than from your hometown?
Minnesota.
A lot of people say that it is. So I'm curious to know what your thoughts are since being in LA.
Yeah, I haven't dabbled into it like too much, because I'm actually leaving for the summer to go to Europe. So I'm like,
on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, just for an experience. And I'm like, okay,
that.
well, even if I was going to get to know somebody right now, like
wrong time.
Right. It's not really the right time. But like, if I was vibing with somebody, okay, I'll stay in touch and see where it goes. But I will say, in LA, a lot of people will approach you. Like, I've never got approached so much as I have in LA. In like the Midwest, where I'm from, in Chicago, I feel like people just don't really approach you, or people are like nervous or scared. But I feel like the intentions are maybe a little bit more pure.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I feel like people will come up to you here, spit a lot of game, and then maybe they'll like go on a date with you, or they'll get whatever they want from you, and then it's like,
That's
okay,
it.
That's
Yeah.
LA.
peace out. Yeah.
Malicious.
That is LA. But I feel like it's a lot of major cities. I mean, I'm surprised you said that about Chicago, but maybe because Chicago's so cold, they're always bundled up. But here, I mean, like, right? Because you're fit, so you can walk around after the gym and go to like a Jamba Juice, and someone's like, oh, damn, that's an attractive girl. We're in Chicago.
Hit
You have the
on her,
beanie
yeah.
on, you have the hoodie on, you have the jacket on because it's so cold. But I kind of feel like I think we talked about that, like who you surround yourself with, and you being in LA, like what has been the major adjustment for you from like living in the Midwest to now like LA?
City. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the people, definitely, I would say. The cost, but I'm like,
The cost, yeah.
I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to make more money. That's the only option.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely just the people. Thankfully, I had a good group of girlfriends before I moved out here that actually 2 of them are from the reality show that I went
Nice.
on. And another one was a girl that I knew from Chicago. So just having a core group of girlfriends that I can really do a lot of things with and not question their intention. Like they don't want anything from me. We're like peer friends. I think that has been really impactful. And then everyone else that I've met is just kind of like, they're acquaintances at this point because I haven't known them very long.
Yeah.
I've met a lot of people through fitness, which has been amazing, but it takes time to build trust and to get to know people.
Especially like now. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the people here are definitely different. There's just so many transplants and
That's all. Yeah.
I don't know. I try to tell people, like I went to Coachella the other weekend and I just feel like everyone was very cliquey in their own groups. They called it the Influencer Olympics.
Oh
Like,
my God.
It's so funny.
yeah, I'm like,
It really
Absolutely.
is.
It's true though.
Yeah, like I've met you or I've talked to you before, but you act like you're too good now. Like,
Isn't that funny?
I was like, this
It's
is LA.
just-
That always blows my mind. Like how someone like you could talk to them on DM and then you run into them in person and they just like turn the other way. And I'm like, dude, you just literally DM'd me like something like we talked on DM.
They said Coachella was the Influencer Olympics.
Yeah.
Remember we were talking about this, how people, a lot of times we were saying, we were like a lot of people now, granted, there are people who go there for the music, but there's, most people are just going there to get their photos and just to like be there and just, Influencer Olympics.
What did you go to
I love
Coachella
that.
for?
So I have never been to Coachella. I actually wasn't going to go. I got invited for a couple brand events. So to be fair, I was there for the brand events, but I just feel like it was such a new experience for me because I had never been before.
Right.
And I think going back next year, maybe I would do it a little bit different, but it felt nice to be a part of like a brand. Like you're there for a reason
And
or
you're
a purpose.
networking, meeting new people.
Right. Yeah. So it was nice. I met a lot of people, but yeah, just in terms of, I'm like, okay, you have 5 million followers. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like pretentious. It's like you can still be a good human being.
Absolutely.
Extremely pretentious, but I mean that's kind of the world. Like you said, like you can sniff it out, you see it right away, on what the. And I always tell people, there's a time and a place for all that. Sometimes it is okay to meet that person that is trying to. I don't want to use the word use you, but gain something from meeting you because. At the end of the day, exactly, right? But you understand that, you recognize it, you're okay with it, you're not investing yourself in that
business.
person.
Right.
It's business.
Yeah.
But then there's the people that use that and they fake like they're trying to really look out for you, but really once they're done doing whatever it is, they're gone
Ghost.
out. So
Yeah, you can just feel the energy.
100%.
I'm like, I know you're being nice to me because you're trying to uphold your rep right now.
yeah, I know you want to be a dick. I mean, I'm a big, like I told her, I'm a big like reality TV. So like, look at like a Vanderpump, right? Like you don't watch Vanderpump Rules, huh?
I do not watch anything.
I need another host that watches reality TV
I
with
do
me.
not, but like, it's just like, I can't.
Well, anyways, there was a guy that was with his girl for like
Doesn't
8 years,
reality
and then
TV
he was
doesn't
ended up
interest me.
cheating on her, and it's like a big scandal now. But it's like people that have met him in person say like he puts on a facade, and then once the cameras are off, he's a totally different person. So
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then now everything's coming to light, and turns out it was true. So
Yeah, like
That-
a whole character.
that-
I mean, a
that's-
lot of people do that on social media too. They play a character.
100%. But I mean, we all do, and.
In life too, just, you're right.
Like I tell
Yeah.
people, like if you look on my social media, it's never like, damn, today was a horrible day. But I also don't like to put that stuff out there because
Me
I feel
neither.
like when you're scrolling, when someone's complaining all the time, I'm like, oh my God, bro, can I unfollow you already?
The most cringiest thing I see on Instagram is when people are crying because it's like,
gotta
you want
set-
me to feel bad
you
for
gotta
you
set
when
the
you
camera
were
up.
able to set your camera up and cry in front of the camera to show me, like, you're not doing that bad, bro. Like, stop.
You're not
like,
doing that bad.
It's so cringy. Like to see, like,
The crying.
you want me to see you cry? Like, stop. Like,
Hey,
I sorry, that's the most cringiest thing to when I see people recording themselves crying.
Yeah, I've seen it before. I don't see it that often. But.
Oh, I do. Like, but in their reels, like they'll post themselves like just sitting there having a breakdown and crying. Like, I get it. We all go through that, and you want to showcase that, but like, I just
those likes are addicting.
listen. I just can't.
So would you ever go on reality TV again, or are you kind of done with it? Depending on the show.
You know, I would. I don't really think I don't know if I have the personality for reality TV. I'm like pretty chill. Like
Not all drama.
I did a couple auditions after.
But they need people like that too on the show.
Yeah. I did a couple auditions afterwards, and they were like, "Okay, you sound like."
I feel like you'd be good. Like
You're
Love
too
is
chill for
Blind.
this.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd be a good Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. There are different types of reality shows now.
So we have this segment here on Mixtape Talks podcast, and we do blind date series.
Oh, we actually do one. Yeah, we do like a blind date episode
That'd
that we
be
have.
fun.
No, we've done.
That's what I was saying. She's single, so hello.
Well, let's see after the summer when you get back from your trip. We may have you on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I might fall in love across the seas and
then it's like a
marry an
movie.
International man. Yeah, no,
So
Dang.
yeah, wait. So going into you being in fitness now, you have left your corporate job,
Yep.
and now you pursued being a fitness coach online.
Yeah.
How has that been?
I love it. I think it's amazing what you can do with social media nowadays.
Yeah.
And how many people you can reach, because we know there's all the struggles with social media and thinking like it's too much and everyone's addicted, and like there's a lot of negatives, but there's a lot of positives as well.
If you use it the right way.
Being able to like impact people's lives. I have some clients that, you know, have been able to like reduce their medication for like, you know, their health because they got into health and fitness. And like I said, my main objective is trying to teach people how easy this lifestyle can be if you learn how to do it, right? Like once you become educated on something, it becomes a lot easier to follow and integrate it into your life. So that's my MO in working with my clients. And I just feel like I'm able to reach so many people with it being online.
So how did you how did you get to that point where you're finally like comfortable to leave your corporate job? Like,
that's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
We get asked that a lot. Like people like yourself that come on here and like you have a career of it. Like when did you know like it was time for you to leave your corporate to put all your eggs into this basket?
Because that's scary, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen.
It was scary, but like I got to a point where I couldn't do both anymore because first and foremost, just being in LA, people say, oh, some people make it and some people don't. I get that, but like I live life in a way where I'm like, I'm going to always have my own back. So like, I'm going to start my side hustle while I'm still in corporate before I quit it and pursue it full time. So that's what I did personally. I was building up my coaching business for 6 months. And then I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I was doing good at one thing one month, good at one thing the other month. Like I was just flip flopping. So I'm like, I need to
my life right now.
Yeah, I need to give all my time and effort. And it was scary, but I was able to propel, and I'm like, there's a lot of money to be made when you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I think, as long as you keep believing in yourself and you don't give up, I feel like that's like a recipe for success.
Yeah. And I think we were talking about that. Like times has changed, right? Like you were saying when you were in college, you thought, okay, if I wanted to stay in the fitness industry, I either had to be an in-person trainer or open a gym. But now there's people like yourself that if you market yourself well, you have the education and you can really get across what you're trying to, I guess, represent, and people take to that, then you're able to make a living off of that.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's relating, right? Even on social media, people have become a lot more transparent and vulnerable so that they can relate to people. And that's how you really get people to trust you.
Right.
And work with you. So even if I'm not an expert in every single thing in fitness, like my goal is to relate to people, connect with people, get them to trust me. We can do this together, and I can, eventually just like hire different coaches that are specialties in different areas. Exactly. I don't need to extend myself to learn everything in the world because that's just not feasible.
Yeah.
But how can I like be the connector to all these people and build something that's going to help them along the way?
Right. Yeah, it's funny because I was on when he told us that you were coming on the show. So I went on your Instagram and I was scrolling through it and I started watching like all of your videos because there's so many people. Obviously we work in the gym. I'm a trainer in a gym, and everybody has their own like training style or what they're good at or what they like. And I was going on your Instagram and I was like, oh my God, I was driving, but it made me want to like stop my car and start freaking getting my ass to work because you do some crazy ass things. Like watching those things is so motivating. Like I'm like, you're upside down doing push-ups and freaking flipping and all this crazy stuff.
Well, it kind of makes sense now.
Stop and freaking go.
Like,
you made me want to get my ass up. I'm like, I'm going to start doing HIIT like 3 times a week now, just watching your videos.
Yeah. I mean, the gymnastics background now, it's all kind of clicking. It's all kind of clicking.
So I was like, this girl is like, I was watching, there was this new thing going on, and it was like, you either have strength or you have mobility. And then I was just watching, I'm like, she has strength and mobility. It's like crazy.
Yeah, I will say I lost a lot of my mobility once I got stronger, because it's like something, and so now I've started to work in a lot more yoga and Pilates and just like take care of my body. And I think that's something a lot of people neglect. Like, you know, we're not getting younger. Like, our body can't handle it the same. So you have to take care of it just as much outside of the gym as you do inside the
100%.
gym. And I also tell people it's so important to find things that you enjoy, to stay consistent with it. Like, I do handstands and flips on my Instagram because, like, I think it's fun and it helps me stay active. And then I incorporate different exercises within it. But, you know, if you like yoga or you like swimming, like, make that a part of your daily routine.
Well, you made me want to start trying to practice how to do handstands and flips. All of a sudden, I'm like,
fun.
She did this flip. I'm like, I can do that. I can't. But I was watching this thing, and it was like talking about like mental visualization, and basically like how you can practice things in your head to become like more of an expert at it. So I was like, I'm just gonna visualize me doing flips in my head just like her, and then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna breaking my leg, but it's fine. I could do it.
Please don't get hurt, dude.
Yeah. Oh
leave the handstands to Nicole,
it was
please.
super motivating. I was like, I need to start getting my ass like up more.
Yeah.
Right. Do you feel like now do you use fitness as like a stress reliever? Do you do it when, you know, like what do you use fitness for? I mean, I know it's an everyday practice, but like, do you have an overall like how you implement fitness into your lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I say it's important to find something you enjoy. I've really been enjoying going to workout classes, and then I'll do another workout later in the day on top of it. But like, I joined the 5 a.m. club a couple weeks ago, and
cow.
I feel like I wanted something to like get me up out of bed. And so I'm like, I'm going to sign up for a workout class every morning around 6. I know I have to wake up. I know I have to go there. There's other people there. I think it's really important to have a support system in life, but also in fitness. So I really enjoy that aspect. And then I love going to the gym and just lifting. That's always been something I've felt strongly about. I just want to make my body better. I want to feel good. I want to feel strong. I want to like build the body in the best way I can. Like, I know a lot of women get like enhancers or implants or whatever it may be. And I say like, okay, if it makes you feel confident, cool. But also, why not like work with the body that you have? Right. Because there's a lot of changes that can be done just by putting in the work and going to the gym and eating clean. And not to mention, you're going to live longer and be healthier.
I mean, I think it always goes back, like now that you kind of touched on like people getting enhancements, I feel like it always goes back to the mental health, right? Like, there's some people that I've seen Photoshop pictures or do stuff like that, and I'm like, you look amazing already. It's like, what are you striving for? And I think it's kind of what you said, like finding happiness within yourself, like having the body that you have, and how could you just make that body better instead of chasing something that may be unattainable, like a waistline that's like 20 inches or something, like, you know what I mean?
Or,
like why would you Photoshop yourself when you look amazing already? There's a disconnect there.
Or even people who just go and get these enhancements done, like their butts done or their bodies done, but then they're still not mentally there. They're still not happy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's like climbing the social ladder too, like what we were talking about. But yeah, I agree. I actually made a post on this today that I'm like, having a positive body image is really about accepting yourself. And the moment I accepted that, like, okay, I have an athletic figure, I'm never going to be thick, I'm never going to have like curves, I don't really have hips, but like, that's okay. There's somebody out there wishing that they had your body, but
100%.
You need to stop thinking about like looking like someone else. Yeah. And you really just need to look in the mirror and think about how you can improve and
be the best version of yourself.
Right. Because it's not going to change. Otherwise, you're just going to be going through this cycle of being unhappy, trying to reach something else when in reality it's just not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, does it ever waver on you that you have such a big social media platform, and there's probably is a lot of young girls that like are inspired by you and the message that you portray on social media? Do you ever like sit and think like, dang, 100 and something thousand people listen to everything I say, and does it make you more conscientious of what you post, or do you just post for yourself?
I definitely post for my followers. I post for myself too. I have to be passionate about it, but I like to ask people like what they want to learn, especially now because I'm working with women on their health and fitness. I'm like, what are you struggling on? You know, what do you want to know more about, so I can tailor all my content there. But I am very cautious about, again, back to being very vulnerable. I think that's how you start building followers and like a client base that you're not even really trying. You're just kind of sharing your story. And then it comes to a point where you're like, okay, I'm really impacting lives now. And then I also like think of my brothers, and I'm like, I don't know if I could ever do an OnlyFans, because like I have brothers, and God forbid someone sends them a screenshot. I'm like, okay,
God.
That's funny.
but yeah, I definitely think about it.
Have you ever like gotten a DM from someone that's like, hey, I've been following you and you've helped me in such and such way, like just, and that's the real reason of the podcast, right? Like a lot of people, like we talked about, they probably know you from Temptation Island. They probably see you, like if I go through your social media right now, I'm like, this girl looks like she has the best life ever. She's fit, she's good looking, she goes out everywhere, she's about to travel all summer long in Europe.
Like she's like, got it all together. That's how I thought going on your social media.
Right, right.
Like,
and not to say none of it's true, and you've worked hard for that, but have you gotten a message where you're like, wow, like I'm really impacting people's lives?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times, especially from my clients that I actually work with now, because I'm communicating with them daily. So I get to hear like different things from them, just like straight from the source. But yeah, whether it's a post that I'm being vulnerable, people are always like, oh, I can relate to that. Especially when I was on Temptation Island, my inbox was so flooded with women going through like toxic relationships and stuff like that. So yeah, it doesn't matter what you're going through. I think, again, it all aligns back to mental health. Like while I'm not going through a breakup right now, it's just like a lot of those things are very powerful for people to see, like, oh, she did it, I can do it too.
Right.
And I think it's the same thing with fitness. Like, oh, she dealt with binge eating, or she dealt with like body dysmorphia or whatever it may be. It's realistic to get out of those things.
Yeah.
So I saw on a post too. So you don't drink alcohol anymore, or you do, or you just do it?
Yeah, I've minimized it a lot. You know, it was when I started going to therapy, I realized like, have you guys ever looked into what binge drinking is? It's like, I don't remember exactly. I think it's like 4 drinks for a woman, or 3, and then like 4 for a guy.
In a week, or like
no, in like
and like one sitting, like.
Is this something your therapist has?
Yeah, like we talked a lot about alcohol just because I was around it a lot, and I feel like socially it's just very accepted, and I'm like,
especially being in LA, right?
Right. I'm like, why is this legal?
Right.
And other things are not legal that are more natural and organic. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I think it's really horrible. So I just.
What is the binge? Explain that what you were just talking about, the binge drinking.
The binge drinking. I haven't looked
You
into it for a
said
while.
like
I think
4
like,
drinks or something like that?
Yeah, like 3 or 4 drinks and then like 5 for a guy. I think it's within, like in the same time frame. Like I think within like 2 hours, like that would be considered like binge drinking. Like if you had 4 drinks. And I'm like, that, now don't quote me on that, like maybe Google it, but I think something around there. And when I heard that and I looked at it and I was like, are you kidding me? Like people will sit there and rip out 4 shots and like drink a drink and think it's normal.
Yeah.
And they don't think they have an issue.
Yeah, no, I couldn't last 4 drinks because I don't drink either. Like I
black out after 3. I'm like done.
I'm a cheap date, so like I don't ever drink. So if we go out, like we went to an event and I think I had 1 shot and I said, dude, I can't drink anymore. Like you just had 1 shot, get a beer. But I think like you said, it's so socially acceptable for like, you know, certain families or certain people. Hey, let's get a 6-pack, go to your house, let's watch the game and drink. And we had that discussion before you even got here. Like you don't understand like what it really does to your body. Not only calories, not only aesthetics, but
like mentally too, like waking up with anxiety the next day and just having like that, like you don't feel good.
And especially if you're trying to build an empire like you're doing now, it's like you need 100% of your brain almost 7 days a week. And that's what I tell people. Like I get calls on Sundays, there's things that I have to get to, and if I'm drunk or something, it's like impaired, then
you literally waste a whole day. Yeah. I mean, I think like even for us, like I've cut down. I remember the same thing. Like I used to party so much and drink so much. Now it's like maybe once a month. Sometimes I'll go the whole month without even having like that social drink. But honestly, when I do, it's like so fun in the moment. But yeah, afterwards, I'm just like, why did I do that? Why?
And it feels so good when you take a break from it too.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, I feel amazing. Look at everything that I got done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like more than anything, I learned more about alcohol because I was coming out of a relationship where there was a lot of alcohol involved. And so it's like, even that, it's like, how does that dynamic shift when you guys are drinking alcohol?
Yeah.
Like, are you acting in your like purest self?
Yeah.
And in alignment with yourself when you have something that's like, you know, throwing off the way you act?
Yeah. No, we used to say that like long time ago. We used to be like, hey, if you really want to know a girl, take her out and like have her drink at a club and you'll learn a lot about her. You're learning a lot about her mannerisms because she's putting up a front, but then once you get alcohol in you, are you a little bit more flirty with everybody there? Are you kind of wandering off? So we used to, like, as guys, I mean, my little group, we said like, oh yeah, bring her to the club and let's see if she's really
noted.
Yeah, let's see if she's really, because it's true, right?
Other dates
Like,
drunk, stop, don't do
but
that.
it goes both ways. You probably see guys and they're at the club and they're drinking. Now they want to fight everybody.
Yeah, anger.
You're like, what's in you that all of a sudden you had one drink and you want to fight?
Yeah, it's true.
So yeah, alcohol does. I mean, I feel like alcohol can almost, in a sense, show your true self. You could disagree with that, but I feel like a lot of people have things inside, and then when they drink, it comes out with alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have that friend that you go out drinking and they end up crying, and you're like, what are you crying about? Like, why are you my wife's in the bathroom with someone? Why are they crying? We're like having the best time because it emotionally triggered something or they saw something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and again, it's learning how to control those emotions and making sure alcohol isn't there to just let those inhibitions go wherever they may.
And it just comes back down to probably just like dealing with those internal traumas first.
Yeah, mental health and therapy.
Mental health and therapy.
No, I think that's a great message. And I'm happy that you're so transparent with a lot of the people that follow you, because I didn't know any of that about you. And we did a lot of research on research on your social media page. And I know you touched on it, but it's good to know that like you have gone through that.
Yeah,
and,
the depth of where it came from.
And the pros and cons of like a reality TV show. I think a lot of people feel like, if I get on it, I made it in a sense, which like to your point, you can use it for whichever direction you want to go to, for just fame, or you can use it to build your business. Yeah. But it's good that people, I feel, especially your audience, if they don't know this about you, know that you struggle with some of that stuff. Because again, looking at your social media, you feel like you have it all together, right?
Yeah, and a lot of work.
Exactly. But no one knows that work because they haven't seen behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So that's a great message with it. So you going to Europe, is that more by yourself? Is that more of like a continuously trying to find yourself, or are you going there just because you're like, I want to have a great time?
I just love traveling so much. Like, one of my goals is to see like every country. I want to see every country. And I feel like when I was in my last relationship, like I wanted to travel more, but I didn't get the chance to. And I wanted like my partner to come with me. And it's like, okay, who are you waiting for? I feel like people are always trying to wait for people to go travel. It's like, okay, go do it on your own. If you want to go see it, go do it. And now my business is online, so I'm like, I can still operate my daily life and I can travel the world at the same time and just explore. I think there's something to be said too, at least this is how I feel when I go to a different country. I just think about how big the world is. Yeah. And I feel like my mind just expands. Like, I think about how much more I can do. I feel like I act in alignment a lot more with myself. It's like a really good reflection time, I think.
Big time. I think every time I've traveled, and I for one, I have a come to Jesus and how much I love being American or coming to America. Yeah. Right? Like how much you're like, I appreciate this, but also that the world is so big.
Yeah.
And people act differently. And the way I feel like us Americans, we're so busy. Where when you go to other countries, I always tell the story. Like we went to Greece and we were sitting there and the guy sat us and he didn't come back for a long time. And I'm like, where the hell's the waiter? Yeah. And I said, can I order? And the guy's like, relax, you're okay. Like, I'll come back to you. But it wasn't to be rude. It was like in Europe, everybody's just so chill. Even when I was like, can I get the bill?
Here,
he's like,
we don't have a second to waste. Yeah.
Nothing, right? So like in Europe, when I was there, the guy's like, can I get the bill? He's like, relax. Yeah. Like, here, let me pour you another drink.
Really?
It's not like a rush where like, oh, we need to clear this table to get more people. And it's more like, just go and enjoy. And I didn't realize that until I got to Europe, and I was like, man, what am I doing with my life? I'm so busy, or I'm doing so much stuff. I don't have time to stop and like really enjoy it.
You stress yourself out for no reason.
Yeah.
No reason.
You learn that the more you travel, or you see, like we went to Thailand, and I think it's still considered a third world country, but the kids bowed to the parents before they drop them off. Everyone there was so nice. Like, I felt the safest in Thailand.
I love Thailand, and everyone was trying to scare me to go there, but I love everyone I know who's been to Thailand. Loves. Amazing.
And you think, you're like, oh my God, they don't have this, they don't have this, they don't have this. But it's like, do you really need that in order to be happy?
No.
And it put it in perspective to me. Like, we were on the beach eating freaking pad thai out of a styrofoam bowl.
Literally,
it was the best time in the world.
Went to this little hole in the wall spot and got like a massage. Like, I would never do that out here, but there it was just amazing. Yeah.
So traveling does open that up. So where else
humbles you?
Where are you going? Don't give too much details, but where exactly are you heading?
So honestly, last year when I went to Greece. I went to Greece last year. I just kept extending my trip, and like I feel like everyone there was like, "Oh yeah, we're here for the whole summer." Like everybody's working remote,
so you just meet people as you go.
You just meet people. So I don't really want to plan it this summer. I'm gonna start in Portugal just because I've never been there, and it's like the closest to the States. And then I'm just gonna work my way over through Spain, probably Italy. I'll go back to Greece, and if I meet somebody and they're like, "Oh, you should come over for this party," like, okay.
I'm gonna live on your stories.
Jeez.
I'm literally I'm gonna be on your stories like crazy. Yeah. I'm excited for us to go on this trip.
We're gonna live vicariously through your life.
I'm like, okay, before I'm like married and have kids, because you can still do it, but I have like no obligations right now.
It's a lot harder. You're right, though. You're right. It's okay to say too.
Books trip to
You should. I mean, and again, we were kind of talking about that.
I'm such a scaredy cat.
How afraid you are, but it's like traveling the world hasn't been this easy ever.
Yeah.
Right. Not only that, but you're constantly connected. There's people like you have Angie that can look after you. DMs, emails. You're always connected somehow.
For some reason, I live in this trauma of like human trafficking, and I've always had growing up, I always had this recurring nightmare that I was getting kidnapped. So I always feel I'm gonna get kidnapped. So I hate being by myself because I'm like, I'm gonna get kidnapped just from this dream. I would have it over and over and over and over and over again. So like I'm gonna go to like, and I've been places by myself. I live alone and everything, but I'm telling you, I was just explaining to him, like if I see something or I hear something outside, I'm like grabbing my gun. Like I don't know how to use it, but it's there. Like,
oh my God.
I'm like a freak. But
we'll do baby steps. We'll go to Mexico first.
Yeah.
That would be your first trip by yourself.
Of all places. Then I'm definitely not coming home.
No, that's cool. And I think it's awesome that you have the opportunity to do that. Like you've built that business and you now are enjoying the fruits of your labor. It took me a while to really understand that. Like you work hard for a reason. And a lot of the people that do tune into this podcast love to hear how you got there. And I like the fact that you did go to college and you have your degree in this, but it didn't dictate that that's what you had to do in life. Right? You chose your passion and you started going to what you were drawn to,
following your purpose.
And that's a big thing here is like we're always telling people, because I did it, I went to what I was drawn to. I'm always been into fitness. I've always loved helping people, so it was naturally I opened a gym, I mentor trainers and stuff like that. Do you ever see yourself in this fitness industry, like maybe opening a gym in the future? Like what do you see yourself in a couple of years with what you're doing now?
I mean, the world can change so much. So it's like, it's
AI
really
trainers.
Dependent on that. Especially like, I don't know if social media and like online training is still going to be a thing. I mean, but right now, again, I want to keep building my brand and make a business out of it and hire people under me and like have an empire.
I love that.
But I also just want to, if I want to shift at any point in time, then I will shift. Like people have asked, my mom's in real estate and it's something I've always thought about. And I'm like, as long as you're like building something and you're learning skills and you're like educating yourself, I feel like you can switch gears if you need to.
Well, we have trainers that do both. We have trainers that do training in the morning and they do real estate showings and like the mid-afternoon or the weekends.
But even with COVID, it showed us that you have to really be adaptable because the world changed. So I think that's the biggest thing. If you know how to be adaptable, you can really do anything.
I love that. That's true.
That's good.
And I like that you said, like, you have your own back. So it doesn't really matter which direction it goes.
You're always going to make it.
Yeah. And also, your mom would probably love this too, because she's a real estate. Like, houses are more, I just got to figure out how to make more money. Like adapting to that. And that's what I always tell people, like, you'll see someone post. I don't know if your mom's on social media, but
I try to get it on there.
But she'll like, I see people, I have friends that are in real estate, they'll post a house and people be like, that's outrageous for this area. No one's going to buy it. I'm like, dude, someone there is working harder in order to buy that because, it's an investment. So it always goes back. I'm a big for people that don't complain.
Yeah. And just like looking at it, like, how are you impacting lives? Because I would always ask my mom, I'm like, why don't you move out to LA and like sell these huge homes? Like, you're so good at real estate. And she's like, it's cool. Like, I love selling people their first home, like giving them that first experience. So I'm like, it is really deeper than that. Like, you're really leaning into
you gotta love what you do.
Yeah, that's cool. And do you feel like you have that like sensibility, you got that from your parents, like as far as like really pursuing things that bring you happiness and not just income? Or is that something you've learned from all your years of just hardships?
Experience.
I think I've learned it. My family is definitely very like money focused. I feel like I went to therapy. I was the first one in my family and everyone was kind of like, why are you going to therapy? Because like generations before us, I don't think it wasn't really talked about.
They made it seem bad.
It's negative.
Like it was a negative thing.
So I was the first one in my family to do it. And I feel like because I've went, like I've taught them things that they've thought about. So I'm just grateful that I got into it at such a young age, because I feel like I can apply it to the rest of my life now.
So what's some advice that you would give to somebody who maybe they're in college? We ask this a lot to our guests. Maybe they're in college and they're trying to, or they have another passion that they want to pursue, but they don't feel like, they can do it. And they feel like they need to follow this passion, or obviously they feel like they need to follow the direction of schooling, whether it's business or whatever. What is some advice that you can give them to follow their passion?
I would say if it keeps coming up in your gut, you got to follow it, because like we can sit here and try to plan our lives as much as we want, but it just never really goes that way. And so if it keeps coming up on your mind and in your gut that you need to do something, I think it's really important to explore that, just so you know what you're capable of.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always need to be all in. You can dabble in it, you can try it, and you can see, and then hopefully that will inform your next decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to that, what you said is you use your I guess fitness was your side hustle and your sales job was your main, but you use one to leverage the other.
Yeah.
And I think people don't understand the importance of it. Like
Yeah.
you got to use something to leverage something. And so if you're making an income doing sales and you hate sales, but if you're working hard at night to grind, to go to school or whatever it is to build that side, eventually the scales will tip and you'll be able to have the option to go one or the other, or stay both.
Yeah, I mean, it's having discipline and dedication too, just like fitness. Like I work with so many girls that like come to me and they've tried so many diets, and I'm like, okay, well, I have to accept as a coach that they might just try this one and quit too.
Yeah.
Like it's just the reality. So like having dedication and discipline, it's like you need to have it regardless. Like you're not going to be able to get around it.
Everything
Yeah.
in life. I mean, that applies to everything.
Literally.
Yeah.
I growing up in the Midwest, where did you see yourself like as an occupation when you were younger? Like let's just say like 14-year-old you. And they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up in the Midwest?
Yeah, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew from a young age that I wasn't going to be there for my whole life. Like I knew I wasn't supposed to be in a small town. And I think it's interesting now with like social media and influencing and just being able to like build your own path. Like I'm sure so many people didn't think they would be an entrepreneur,
Right.
but they were able to explore their creativity through social media. It's just like a platform that gave so many of us the chance to do that. And I feel like younger, I didn't really know, but then I was able to turn to social media and just give out what made me passionate. And yeah, like I knew I wasn't supposed to be in a small town. I wanted to like reach more people. I think in a small town, a lot of people will like talk about you, or it's just like small-minded things. And I knew I don't want that. Like even diversity was not a thing at all in my small town of Minnesota. And I just didn't see it that way. I'm like, why is this an issue? So it's been interesting, like being out of there. I moved to the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, and then I moved to Chicago, which is like very diverse.
Very diverse, yeah.
Now I'm in LA. Now I'm going to Europe. It's just
Yeah.
like, I just want more.
Yeah.
More and more.
Opened your eyes to a lot of stuff, huh?
Yeah, and it's because I knew what I didn't want.
Yeah.
So I was able to go explore more of what,
That's true.
I knew what I
There's a
wanted.
lot of, I mean, we're so accustomed to it. Like LA, you can go eat at the most authentic Mexican spot. You have the best Chinese food.
So
Like
much-
it's all
there's so much
literally,
culture,
it's all
and it's
literally
very
there.
diverse, yeah.
And it's all transplants from other countries and stuff.
Yeah.
Like 14-year-old you, looking back, if she was sitting next to you right now, what would she be like the most proud of that you've accomplished so far? It could be business or just personal growth.
I think just investing in myself and like really going for it, because even I think back to childhood, like gymnastics was a huge part of my life. And like one of the things our coach taught us was like, there's no fear spoken here. That was like in the tagline of our gym. So it was like, okay, don't be afraid, go for it. And I feel like that really translated
Yeah.
to life too. It's like everybody has fears and they're nervous and like you've never done it before, so it's stepping out of your comfort zone. But it's like, I feel like for so long I didn't go all in with fitness, and now I'm here. It took a long time, but like I'm so proud of that, because what if I never would have like taken that jump?
Right. You'd still be at the sales office.
Right,
Yeah.
but you did it logically, and you did it smart. You still
Yeah.
kept that until you were able to exactly like leverage and be able to make what you did there and then go forward.
Yeah,
So,
and then
you
that's
gotta
probably
do it
why
smart too.
Yeah, that's why it took longer probably.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm like, dang, if I would have just came out here when I was 22, of course, maybe I wouldn't have had anything going for me.
Yeah.
And I would have had to move back home like a lot of people do. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm 30. I was in sales for however many years.
Yeah.
I built up things, and now like I can come out here and not struggle. And
You
just
did it the
keep
right
building.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you, I mean, as far as like continuing education, are you big in like reading at all, or do you do like audiobooks or anything like that?
I do a lot more like audibles and, well, not as much. I'm starting to get into audibles, but like I feel like podcasts opened up
100%.
my mind a lot. And specifically, I started listening to them a lot when I was going through my breakup. So it was a lot of like, I listened to Mark Groves a lot and like big influential people like that really helped me. And then I was like, wow, I really like podcasts and like learning from them. So now I've like shifted that for like entrepreneurship and like fitness and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a beautiful thing about podcasting is the long form is what I like, because people get a sample size of you on TikTok or Instagram or even Facebook. It's like a 15, 20-second reel, you know, and it doesn't really tell the whole picture. And I think for you, what I've learned today is that your life didn't start off as completely perfect. And you're like the normal person that's going through and trying to find themselves, whether that's relationship or direction you want to go for your life. One thing that really did impress me is the fact that you have the strength to be able to tell yourself like, hey, this isn't right for me. You know, I'm going to attack fitness because I'm passionate about it and I can see myself growing in there. And you took the time doing your sales, working the corporate job in order to build this empire.
And you put in the work.
So, I mean, for me, I'm like, if I want to bring it full circle, like what I've learned from you, I would say it's that. So for me,
I agree.
I think it's awesome that you moved your business towards online, because I don't think online is going to go away. I think online is going to be here for a long, and I preach online to all my trainers, because the perfect scenario is what you're doing. I always tell my trainers, wouldn't you want to be on an island somewhere having the same clientele, but still impacting lives, right? Like not a watered down version of it, but just really take the time to master it so that you can do that. Like that should be the holy grail.
And like, so because you are just an online coach, what are the steps that you actually took to be successful in online coaching? Because I think a lot of people don't know where really to start. Like maybe they're a personal trainer like myself maybe, and we're like asking in the gym asking for a friend. What do you feel are like some steps that you took and that helped you be successful in becoming an online trainer or coach?
I mean, for me, it's like, I feel like sales helped me so much, because I've had some people ask me like, just how do they, it's like psychology, it's sales, it's like connecting with people. So even if you're in the gym doing that, like you need to continue connecting with people. Right. And if you want to use the platform of social media, then you need to post. Like, I feel like there's so many people that, you know, maybe they're not on social media and they want to do online training, but I'm like, you're posting once a month. You're not going to be able to do this. You have to be vulnerable. You have to connect with people and, again, really understand their pain and their why, and then cater to that. So I think that's really important. If you're going to shift your focus, like you probably already have the skills if you're doing it in person. Now you need to translate it to online. And if you're not using social media channels,
you're not going to really be successful.
Well, unless you already have a client base. If you already have a client base, then maybe it's just about like blasting out emails and getting them all onto, you know, online
the business side of it, learning the business side of it.
Yeah. But I think if you're trying to get new clients and reach more people and you want to be an online coach, you need to get on social media and you need to be connecting with people, because nobody's going to work with, like, think about the people you work with in life, or even who you go get your nails done by, or like where you're going to go for a restaurant. It's like always through recommendation, right? And because you trust something. So if you're not building trust with the consumer, they're not going to
come to you.
Or even an old mentor of mine used to tell me, work not seen is work not done. And the way I always tell trainers is like, if you're not posting, you could be the best trainer, the best tattoo artist, but me as a consumer, if I don't see you constantly posting it, I think, oh, they fell off, or oh, they're not busy.
It's true.
So like you could go in the darkness and do all this work and you have the most knowledge, but if nobody's seeing it, no one really thinks you're working. So like to your point, like with posting and social media, it's like work not seen is work not done. So make sure your work is seen, right? So people see that you're active and you're doing it and you are expert in that field, and then you're going to get the clientele in there.
It just comes organically after that.
Yeah, organically. And you just have to like do it a lot, because the way the algorithm is, and just not all your followers are going to see your stuff. So like you have to just keep shooting your shot. You have to keep producing content and see what sticks.
I love that.
And then like stick with that, because I think a lot of times people get discouraged, like, oh, no one's even liking this, no one's sharing this.
We've talked about that on a few podcasts. Like you'll post, and maybe on this post you got like 10,000 likes, and on this one you got 400 because of, again, the algorithm, and then you get discouraged and you're like, well, shit, I'm not going to post. But you have to just continue to be consistent, and like you were saying earlier, consistency is what's going to get you the gold, right?
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, you don't need a million people to trust in you.
We said this too.
You need a solid, you need a solid amount of people that are gonna like invest in you,
Yep.
and then you invest back in that. You don't need to reach every consumer in the world.
I love that.
Yeah. We've
If you ever want to train at a gym, please let me know. I would love to have you come in. I would love to have you be a trainer, because everything you're kind of saying is funny. This is the first time we met, you guys. We didn't stage this. A lot of the stuff that you're saying is what we preach a lot to. And it's amazing that like you are so young and you do have that knowledge already, because that's going to take you a long way in this industry.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a long time, corporate to whatever. And the bones of it don't change. Kind of what you said, finding the want, finding the why, building the value, finding what the problem is, and then overcoming that. And, and it goes back to your sales experience, your psychology experience. So I think you're on the right path. And I think that enables you to work with a broader audience of clientele, because you can do the housewife, but then you're also an athlete. So you can talk to that with athletes, and you could touch everything.
And that's what you have the luxury of doing it from your computer
and you'll be in Europe.
Yeah, you'll be in Europe. Exactly. It's amazing. And I'm starting, like, if with all of our guests that we've actually had on the show, that is the pattern that I see, like your mindset, as far as just like
strong mindset.
You guys all have the same mindset, and it shows like why you guys are so successful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Instagram doesn't tell the whole story about what you've overcome and did. And so I'm so
love it.
So before we leave this, for people that are new, that maybe have never heard of you, or maybe people that are following you, or maybe even your followers, what's something that you would want to leave them with?
You're capable of anything that you think you are.
Yep. I love it.
I think, again, investing in myself was like the best decision I've ever made. If you want to change your body, you can. Like, we're all going to have fear, but you're capable if you think you are.
Love that.
Ooh, and with that, you guys. Oh, Nicole, thank you so much for coming in.
We're thankful for your toxic relationship and you jumping out of it, man.
And we are going to have you on.
It turned out really good.
It turned out amazing.
I think, Ethan, we have our next contestant for our blind date episode.
I can't wait.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I think it'll be great. Actually,
when do you come back from Europe?
August or September, unless I like fall in love and get married. I'm just kidding.
Well, can you invite us to the wedding?
For a long time.
I'm just
August or September. Wow.
I'm just gonna go and come back whenever
you feel like it.
Yeah.
If I get an invite to a wedding in Europe, I'm gonna have to go.
Me too.
I mean, that'd be cool.
And again, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll have all of Nicole's social medias linked to everything. And again, if you're maybe potentially looking for a trainer, reach out to Nicole, see if it's the right fit for you.
Yep.
Get the time zone right, because she'll be in Europe by the time this drops. But other than that, thank you again, Nicole.
Yes,
thank you so much again
Thank you for
having
having
me
me.
Until next time, you guys.